I'm Robert Timmons, and you're watching Weekly Words.
Stop me, oh, somebody stop me, stop me, stop me, please, somebody stop me, oh, somebody stop me, and Lord, if I'm doing it wrong, then please stop me.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Weekly Words. I pray that your past week has been very rewarding, refreshing, and peaceful. This week, we're going to be talking about temptation and the ways that you can overcome it. So let's get started. Temptation is something that is different for everybody, right? And can change throughout your lifetime. Temptation is something that might not be bad at its core, but whenever you start to overly crave or overindulge in it, or it's becoming a hindrance or a distraction from what you're working to at that point in time, whether you're in school or you're at work or you're in a particular season or whatever the case may be, something that is preventing you from getting closer to God or doing whatever work you're supposed to be doing, that's when it becomes a temptation. So temptation can be food, it can be dessert, it can be sex, it can be alcohol, it can be drugs, it can be your phone, it can be social media, it can be television, it can be so many different things. It can be a person or a specific activity, right? Temptation changes for everybody. And like I said, it's something that hinders you from focusing on what you're supposed to be focusing on at that point in time. So today, to talk about temptation and kind of encourage you to overcome the temptations that you face, I am going to actually be sharing a poem that I wrote on the subject. So I hope that you enjoy it and you are moved by what I say. All right, let's get started. Hope you like it. There's one thing we all have in common. It's the ability to hear a sound that is so sweet it's actually rotten. Now, when you hear this sound, you say, yo, when you should say goodbye, but you are so sick of living righteous that you no longer try, so it creeps in like a smooth criminal, changing your view of the man in the mirror. You say the way you make me feel is good, but in reality it's bad. You get so caught up in the desires of your flesh that you can't let go or get up. You say, I ain't staying saved. I had enough. So then you sit back with no hesitation and you listen to the sound of temptation. This very sound corrupts the way our mind was designed to make it through troubling times by listening to a voice that is greater than all mankind. And it changes the nature of your creation because you give up your freedom and salvation because you listen to the sound of temptation. It says, comes in under my umbrella, Ella, and each time you do, you become unfaithful to the one who died for your sins so you could be with him forever. Ever, and you make it so hard because your continuous sinful actions start to form words saying, please don't stop the music because I love the way you lie, how you tell me you can fill this void in my heart and make it where I no longer have to cry, but that void, it never gets filled. So you go around searching for a way for that void to be sealed, ladies. Ladies, you look to guys that make you feel like the only girl in the world, but the one you should look to is the one who holds the world. And guys, you look to ladies to make you feel more like a man, but no matter how much of a man you are or you aren't, your life is in God's hands. So can you ring the alarm to alert yourself? Can you realize that you're irreplaceable and that God is trying to upgrade you? Or will you continue to allow your ego to listen to sounds to make you dangerously in love with worldly desires, or will you let it smash into you, making you crazy in love with the sinful party that leads to non-stop fires? Can't you see deja vu as you run from the one that loved you, will love you, and loves you currently? Can't you see that 1 + 1 is not just 2, but 1 + 1 is eternity? Now, these words that you heard might become a blur as you leave this room to be with her or him or it or them, because the reality of the situation is that temptation has multiple faces and sounds. It's anything that tempts you and therefore prevents you from being reunited with the one who wears the crown. Now, trust me, I understand your struggle. Having something in front of you that's so physically, mentally, and emotionally appealing, and when you give in to said desire, you get an indescribable feeling. See, I've been there, and I've done that. But all it took were 4 words for me to stop that. You got it bad. So here are my confessions. 1, I put my trust in worldly things when I should have put my trust in the everlasting King. 2, I avoided my emotions because I thought it was the easy way out, but avoiding my emotions was clearly the wrong route. And 3, I listened to a sound that strategically rewound my spiritual growth, making me feel worth less. See, it started out as sweet music to my ears, and it was a way for me to escape all of my tears. But after so much time, our relationship reached a climax, and I could hear its true colors. Ironic. It took me 7 cycles to realize that I was stuck in simple harmonic motion. And that's the reason that I kept finding myself spiritually broken. But lesson learned. See, I had it bad, but I separated myself from temptation. I let it burn. All you got to do is let it burn. So as you leave this room, remember the time that I sat before you when I shared this rhyme, because it is human nature for you to forget that I am sitting here telling you about the song that exists, and I am telling you, God's not going. He will always be there speaking into your life. He will show you which way is wrong and which way is right. So that sound of temptation, put it on mute, because what you should be listening to is the voice of truth. All right, so just like every other week, I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions, and I, again, encourage you to think about them by yourself, but also answer them and go over them with your friends or accountability partner to help you see in what areas you can grow and how you've been growing over the course of this year. So let's get started. Question 1. What does the sound of temptation sound like for you? Meaning, what temptations are you facing in your life? What does the sound of temptation sound like for you? Meaning, what temptations are you facing in your life? Question 2. Have you prayed to God or taken practical steps to overcome these temptations? Have you prayed to God or taken practical steps to overcome these temptations? What are they? And question 3. Can you name or list all the songs that I referenced in my poem? Can you name or list all the songs that I referenced in my poem? Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Weekly Words. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for topics for me to talk about in the future, feel free to email me at weeklywordsrt@gmail.com. All right, I'll talk to you later. Have a great week.
Stop me, oh, somebody stop me, stop me, stop me, please, somebody stop me, stop me, stop me, oh, somebody stop me, and Lord, if I'm doing it wrong, then please stop me.